if shit's really bad and you're still nowhere in 2 or 3 years, you can always go ahead and pick up where you left off. Like, you'll have an amazing ride, you'll have an amazing journey, and it's worth a crack either way, right?
Hey guys, welcome back to The Better Project, where our purpose is to crush the stigma that surrounds mental health by talking to real people and sharing raw stories, not only spreading awareness, but helping to build mental fitness and resilience. I'm your host, Nick Batar. Today, we're joined by Mark Curry. Now, Mark Curry is the founder of Savvy Energy. You would have seen this little can on my Instagram or YouTube if you're watching, and I have it before every single podcast. I'm going to crack open one now, but Mark, brother, thank you so much for jumping on. Let's do a little virtual cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Man, after our Zoom chat that we had a few weeks back, I've been pumped this whole week to get you on. So thank you for starting your Saturday, with me, man.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me on. And right back at you. I spent like the week looking forward to having a chat with you as well. Like, when we spoke the other week, I know it was meant to be I think we scheduled a half an hour and chatting for like 2 hours, but that's kind of what you want, right? Like,
it just flowed, bro. That could have been a podcast within itself, and I wish I pressed record.
But that's a cool thing. Like, it just means we got a fair bit to share. So hopefully there's enough value here today so people can enjoy and listen to it.
And I love how our relationship came about. Like, you just reached out to me with like a video message saying, hey, like, I want to send you some product. I'm like, what the fuck's this about? Because to be honest, I don't drink energy drinks. Hey, I don't drink energy drinks. I don't drink coffee. And I was like, oh, will I really like this? And you sent it out to me. And dude, this summer fruits one, I love it, eh?
Yeah, well, it's just because I've come across your podcast before. And what really makes Savvy any different to anything else is it's Australia's first mental wellbeing drink. So it's aimed with mental health benefits. So the ingredients in it helps to improve your levels of brain chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, which is responsible for like drive and feeling good and feeling positive. But also it reduces cortisol. So it reduces that stress hormone, which allows for stress and anxiety. So it's doing what a lot of people are always looking for, which is feeling better. And so when I went ahead and saw your podcast, and I've been really interested in the areas of mental health. I'm on the board of directors for a mental health charity in Australia. I provide them with legal advice. I've been doing so for the last 5 years. So this has been a passion for me for a while. And so I really wanted to connect with people that are making a difference. So I thought, well, this is great. And to be honest, no one's going to know about a product and a drink being able to like taste normal but have benefits for your brain. So I was like, this is my audience, this is my tribe. I'm not going to do the cliche thing of you make a protein powder, you reach out to like gym junkies and like real fit kind of Pilates kind of people. It's instead it's like, no, like my audience made a drink that has benefits to make you feel good. My audience is people that talk about the brain and talk about feeling good and talk about real conversations surrounding mental health, which is something that needs to be spoken about way, way more. And that was pretty much it. I was delighted that you wrote back and you're like, yeah, sure, shoot it over my way. And naturally, you're going to be apprehensive, and that's totally cool. I saw the podcast, listened to an episode or two. I liked what I saw, had a look at the YouTube channel and thought, great. Like, if this is an option, this is an option. Even if you just go ahead and go, yeah, look, it's not for me. Or you just go, yeah, man, it's cool. Thanks. Either way, I would have been delighted because all I want to do is just connect with who I feel to be the correct audience for products that improve mental health and performance.
Exactly. And like for me, I gave you honest feedback. I didn't just kiss your ass and be like, hey, like I love all your products. Like,
yeah, I know.
I love the summer fruits, but I do not like your other flavor. And that's just my personal taste. There, that one.
But that's kind of like the cool like reason why I went with these 2 different flavors is because when I started this like whole Savvy project, which was the real beginning was 6 years ago, but like the idea had been around for before that as well. And we're using this really strong herbal extracts. So there's equivalent to over 20 grams of active ingredients in here. And when you get really strong herbs, amino acids, vitamins, and you put them together, and effectively what you're doing is neuroscience. You're trying to go ahead and produce amazing plant-based medicine, which has a therapeutic effect to improve the way that you feel. And you're trying to put that in a mainstream flavored drink. So I spent years trying to perfect that with people. I had all the scientific people on one side, so my nutritionists, my dietitians, my naturopaths, my herbologists. I even had a neurologist at one stage who were like, this formulation, 512 scientific studies. But then when you go to the other side, you go to the food technicians and the food scientists, and you're like, all right, let's make this taste good. They're like, sorry, dude, like this tastes like these ingredients, we can't make them taste good. And so it took ages, but yeah, there's always, most of the time, someone either likes one or likes the other. So like this one's more kind of tangy. And the summer fruits one is, it's more like a, I don't know, berry flavored mineral water.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm very surprised, like with the ingredients in it, how it does taste so good.
Yeah. And hats off to the flavor scientists, because I gave them an impossible brief. I was like, everything has to remain natural, has to be organic. Everything needs to be no sugar. So the brief that I gave was very, very hard. I'll be honest, we got rejected from a lot of places because they were like, what you're trying to do is just not an option, like best of luck, but no. And I'm like, that's fine. Like someone's gonna take it up, someone will take it up. And eventually we found a group who's like, all right, like give us a big deposit and we'll take the time and energy to figure out what the hell we could do. I'm like, all right. And then took ages to get there, and then we're finally here.
It's an awesome product, and we'll talk about it more. But firstly, if I want to go back a bit, but before, where can people buy this from?
Oh God, depending where you are, like it's in like 300 stores or thereabouts now. So it's in lots of health food stores, it's in IGAs, it's in spas, it's in 7-Elevens. So it's all over the place. It's in anytime fitness gyms, it's in lots of independent gyms, it's in Pilates studios, yoga studios, martial arts studios. It's a bit all over the place, but predominantly online's your safest bet. If you're lucky enough to know it's in your local store, and we are publishing a big list online of like all the places that have it, but online's your safest bet. We offer free shipping just to make life easy for people, because we want to get the product out there to people, because at the moment, nothing like this exists in Australia. And so we're excited to share that with people. Would rather go ahead and take a loss on shipping and be like, hey, look, we're going to cover $10 of every single like shipping that goes out. So it makes it free for majority of metro people. I think if you're just outside metro, you pay like $2 or something. But the idea is we want people to be able to try and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's awesome, and everyone go check it out. Try it for yourself. Honestly, you will not regret it. And I want to go back though. Like Savvy, the product is awesome, right? But how did Mark get there? Like first, like what was your upbringing like? Like what were you like as a kid? Because I remember when we were speaking, you're like, you came from very humble beginnings. Your parents were like nomads, and like really cool upbringing, bro. So what was that like?
So both my parents are Irish. So I grew up with an Irish accent, as did my sister, who's called Maeve, which is a very like typical Irish name. Although she was lucky enough to have the standard English spelling, which is Maeve, while I have a cousin called Maeve who has the Irish or Gaelic spelling. So Meadhbh, which is much more challenging. So, but nonetheless, like Maeve is a bit of a strange name. And so I was Mark, so mine was much more simple. But we both grew up with Irish accents. So once we went to primary school, we started to lose those accents, and mum and dad were like just really cool, ultra supportive of whatever we wanted to do. They never kind of pushed us toward anything in particular. They both really never really like worked too hard upon trying to establish big careers themselves. So they just did whatever the hell they wanted to do to make ends meet. Like Australia for them, as far as I understand, was just meant to be a stepping stone. They'd previously lived all around places in Asia, Europe. At one stage, they're in like a naked colony over in America for like a month and a bit. They were cool people. And what I like probably the most is the values being instilled within both of us, which is family always comes first. So my dad's career, or jobs, I should say, were always based around the ability to be able to drop us off at school and pick us up from school, which is really nice. And we were in nice areas. We were always the people who were renting and like in a beat up old car, and we had one car per family, but we're in nice areas. So it was kind of fun, like a bit interesting, like with seeing friends who are far more affluent, and then realizing, well, maybe we're not rich in the traditional financial sense, but we are rich in like kind of family values, which is great. So we're very blessed and lucky in that respect. Going to high school was quite fun. I was probably a little bit immature in high school. I got in trouble a whole lot and suspended a whole lot, and eventually expelled. And I had to go to a second school and suspended again, and blah blah blah. So I was probably a bit cheeky at one stage, but eventually pulled up my socks a little bit, and then tried a bit harder, and then did the university thing with no real aspiration as to what I want to do, which is why I'm so passionate now. And whilst at university I was a tutor, I always wanted to help high school students to make better choices, because it's so easy to walk down a silly path and then never really give any thought to your future until years and years later. And I just feel, had I gotten on this path that I'm on now without having done the legal thing that I did do, I'd have an extra 9 years up my sleeve to go ahead and make way more impact and help out more people. So I don't feel I lost time, because that's never the way to view it. It was a great thing, and it set me up, and it allows me to have a new set of skills, which is brilliant. But I definitely wish I'd spent a bit more time asking myself when I was younger, what do I want to do and why? I never did it. I was just too busy doing, but I never stopped and thought and was like, what do I want to do? Like, what makes me happy? What makes me sad? What should I walk toward? What should I walk away from? Never considered it. And so now I always try and tell others, think about that stuff early. It's so vital, so important. And what do you want to do? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that we walk away from is like what contributed to the world. And like you hear time and time again, like, what's the definition of a good life or a valuable life, or a life worth living, or something that makes you feel good and humble and excited. And realistically, it always comes down to the same values over and over again. It's just what you contribute to other people, and the legacy, which might be a family, or it might just be something that you've done and it's something you've created to make other people's lives better. It's always contribution. It seems to always be some kind of contribution. So realizing that early and realizing what place you have to be able to contribute, I think is a really, really cool thing to do. And that's something I'm quite passionate about now, is to help people to realize that earlier. So I've been lucky enough to be a part of many different university programs where I'll help talking to younger students. I've also been invited to a bunch of high schools, and I'll help speak to students at the end of high school just about those next steps. And I just try and use my little story of how I did one thing, it was great, but it came with challenges, and how I went in a different direction, and how they might be able to start saving time and circumvent the issues that can happen of walking down a bad path by finding out what they want to do now, and just realizing ultimately what's going to make them happy, and looking after their physical health and mental health now with practices. Because people often wait until there's an event to go ahead and start being like, oh, I should really take care of this a bit more, which is weird, because we don't do it for physical health. We don't wait till we have a heart attack before we start looking after our cardio fitness and going to the gym and going running. But most of the time, people do wait for a time when they mentally hit rock bottom, or close enough to it, or see people around them hitting it, before they start to go, oof, what could I do to support my noggin and how I feel? So those are some of the conversations I try and bring up more often with people now. And Savvy is honestly just it's a vehicle to do that. It's also just a great conversation starter. It's also just something that helps people to realize there's an everyday product that is a much healthier solution. And if that puts them in that path, to seek better solutions for their day-to-day, then they're going to live happier and healthier lives, no matter what they do.
Definitely. And it's so important, especially as you mentioned, high school kids or young people to realize what they truly want to do in life. And that's not to say you have to have all your shit sorted out by 2025, but so many young people fall into the system or the trap of high school, uni, work a job that you hate, and then get in debt with a house, a car, family, and then they're not truly like fulfilled internally, and they think all these external things are gonna make them happy, but in reality it's just like a hamster wheel. You're always looking for the next big thing to get that dopamine hit. And I love that you're pushing your message, because I'm doing the same thing with like mental fitness and stuff. I'm helping to build resilience, because if we can help people to implement these little tools and tactics and strategies into their life to help them find their purpose and help them work on their mental fitness every day, just like we work on our physical fitness. As you said, it's so normal to go, hey, I'm going to the gym today, I'm going for a run. But when does people talk about, hey, I'm going to work on my mental fitness today, like a normal conversation? We don't do that, right? And I love that you've used a product, a drink, to spark those conversations and to align that with mental health and getting people to actually talk about it and work on it as well. So that is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's just something that I really wanted to try and just help more people with, because it just affects so many people, and there's not enough conversations around it, and people still want to stray away from having those conversations. And I just don't get it, because people cannot wait to tell you about their new gym routine, their new diet. They just started doing this type of fancy yoga or Pilates or gym thing, or now, I run backwards on the beach because it's good for my knees. Everyone's got a dietary or physical thing that they can't wait to tell you about. But when are people saying, oh, I recently started eating less refined sugar because of the way that sugar affects the way I feel, because of, not a conversation you're hearing often. Or like, I'm eating way more healthy fats and making sure they're healthy fats, not rancid fats, because of the way that makes me feel. Like it's not something you're hearing much about. Or like I'm doing more meditation, or I'm doing more gratitude, and I'm doing journaling. I started doing this. So I love that it seems to be more prevalent, but it's not at the same stage that it could be. But this is why, again, I reached out to you in the first place, because you're literally making this a conversation. And I just love the idea that you're crushing the stigma, because it is stigmatized. And I also wanted to call this, which I know is tongue in cheek, a mental health product or a mental health drink, which a lot of people were like, my marketing team especially, were like, oh, I don't know, man. Like, sorry, don't call me man, call me Mark. Like, oh, I don't know, Mark, that might not be a good idea, because it's creating a stigma and people aren't ready to talk about that as much. A lot of people are going to get scared and move away from it. And I was just like, yeah, but it is what it is. Like, we can go ahead and tiptoe around and call it mental well-being, mental wellness. It's the same thing there. Like, people need to get more used to this, and that's what I wanted to try and do. So it's a cool journey, but I wanted to hear more about your side of the story as well. Like, what made you want to start a podcast of this extremity? Like, you probably have told the story before in a few different ways. So I guess my main pitch was, what was the first time that you realized I could start a conversation that makes differences? And what made you also take that leap of faith and think that beyond imposter syndrome, I think people care what I need to say? Because that was some of the biggest challenges that I had when I left working as a lawyer to go ahead and become a nutritionist and start talking to people about nutrition things. Is I always felt like an imposter. And so people always encouraging me to do things like this. Dude, you should be part of podcasts. You should do more things. You should make short videos and information things for people, make more reels, do more things. And I was always just like, nah, people don't give a shit what I have to say. I'd get a bit down on myself and be like, nah, I don't. And it was just my story, because in my head, I spent 9 years becoming a lawyer and I only worked 3 years in nutrition. Therefore, I haven't done the work. And that was my limiting belief, which was wrong, and now I've managed to overcome it, hence why we're here. But for you, you obviously would have gone through similar things because we're all human, right? So I'd love to know how you managed to overcome that and how you started doing this, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to do more and you found a way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And for my journey, so I'm 25 now, and the first 22 years of my life, I was just known as that shy, introverted kid who, struggled with their social anxiety. I couldn't talk to people, right? And I remember going to a Gary Vee seminar. He came to Sydney and I went to it. I only just started following him, right, on Instagram. Like, who's this American guy talking all this motivation and stuff? And I was like, it's pretty cool though. So I started following him, and then good old Instagram marketing pops up, buy a ticket for this event. He's coming to Sydney. I was like, just something drew me to that. And I went to this event and I'm sitting there in the crowd and just watching the way, like, not only Gary Vee, but all the other speakers, the way they can move a crowd and the way they can have an impact on someone's life just by getting on stage and talking to them. I was like, how can I do this in my own way? And straight away, the limiting beliefs, the doubts, like, you can't do this. You can barely talk to anyone, right? You're shy, you're introverted, you have social anxiety. And I was like, I need to snap out of this. I need to make a promise to myself that I'm not going to stop taking opportunities. I'm not going to let this hold me back and let fear take over my life. If not, I'm never going to accomplish anything. I'm never going to have an impact. And after that event, I did make that promise. I dropped out of uni the next week because I was studying sport and exercise science. I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. It wasn't my vibe, because going back to what we were just talking about before, we fall into the system of we need to go to uni. And if you don't go to uni, you're not successful, right? So I went to uni just because I felt like I had to go. And I went there for a year and a half and I hated it and didn't like it at all. So dropped that and I just started working in my family business and saved some money, bought some camera gear, started vlogging. Now that was scary in itself, putting a vlog out there, putting myself on camera. I was like, what the hell am I doing? People are not going to care what I have to talk about or what I'm doing in my life. But there was just something in me that I just had to do it. I just had to put myself out there and I did it. And then Gary Vee pops up again. Everyone needs to have a podcast. I was like, what is a podcast? I didn't listen to them. I didn't know what they were. I looked into it more. I was like, oh, this might be cool. And as again, something drew me to it. And I was like, I'm starting a podcast now. I bought a microphone, plugged it into my laptop. And I remember the first episode I recorded, it was like a 3-minute intro. It took me over an hour to record it because at the time I felt like it had to be perfect. And I was trying to do this perfect introduction. And looking back now, it was still fucking shit. But the point of it is I put myself out there and put myself out of my comfort zone. And I just continued to do it and do it. And I started talking to guests and getting people on from around the world. And the most common attribute that I could get from every one of those guests was they all had obstacles. They all struggled like with mental health or something, or they didn't feel comfortable opening up about their feelings, which then got me reflecting on my life and my, being introvert, being shy. Like I never spoke about it. I just kept it in and bottled it all up. And I was like, why is there a stigma around all this stuff? Why can't we talk about it? And it just really got me thinking of maybe this is the area I can make a change in and that I can have an impact in. And I decided to take the podcast in that direction and really focus on that and, helping to spread awareness. And then what I've now realized is, hey, awareness is great, right? It's awesome to have Are You Okay Day and all this kind of stuff. But what truly makes the change is taking action. And that's where I believe mental fitness comes into play, because what I also believe and why there's a stigma is the miscommunication or misbeliefs around mental health. We're getting it mixed up with mental illness, because what I believe mental illness is like severe depression, anxiety, all that stuff. But everyone relates that to mental health. So then if you go to talk about mental health, everyone thinks, oh, you're depressed, anxiety, and it's such a negative connotation around it. So if we can change the terminology and talk about mental fitness, just like we talk about physical fitness, and we're working on our our mental fitness every single day. We're doing gratitude journaling, or, going exercising, all these little things that help us become better people. And basically mental fitness is your mind, body, and spirit all in harmony. We're all coming together, all those parts of us, to become the best versions of ourselves. And man, it's been an awesome journey. And I'm 150 plus episodes. I think 107 of them are guest episodes from all around the world. And that's why I love, I love reflecting. I love talking about it, because if you knew who I was prior to starting this podcast, and I have like mates that I'm still mates with now, and they're like, how the fuck did you go from this kid who could barely talk to now having like a pretty well-known podcast? And I was like, I don't know. The one thing I can tell you is you got to be consistent, and you've got to continue to put in the repetitions, because it's not easy. Just like you in business, you got to continue working on it. It's not something you can just start and be like, hey, I got a podcast now, I get to talk to awesome people, and that's all you got to do. It's just like that iceberg analogy. You see that all that cool stuff at the top, but at the bottom, there's so much more that goes into it. And that's why I'm here to inspire people that, hey, one, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And two, like, let's make mental health, mental fitness a normal thing that we can talk about it, and really start to take action and be preventative, not reactive. Not wait until you're in rock bottom to be like, hey, I need to make a change now. Let's prevent you from actually going to rock bottom. And that's why I love connecting with people like yourself, and that are, working in this area as well, to help prevent, not just spread awareness.
Dude, love that. Like, a few key points that like really like resonate hard from there are the importance of understanding the terminology of mental health and mental fitness as opposed to ill health. A common example that I speak to people about who sometimes get it wrong, but mental health, isn't that like kind of like being sad and being depressed? I'm like, no, that's ill health. Like, that's like saying, what's physical health? Oh, is that disease and cancer? It's like, it's not. Physical health can define it as broadly as you'd like. This is not an Oxford Dictionary definition, but physical health is just feeling good and having your body being able to do what you want it to do, I guess, and just not being free from issues that slow you down, whatever it might be, right? So mental health for you could be a similar kind of a thing, just being able to feel as good as you want to feel. And the best part is it's fitness on both sides, which means you can work on it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I think what's a beautiful thing is this changing viewpoint upon being able to change your brain has come out a lot in the last couple of years. There's a concept called neuroplasticity, and you may have heard a lot about it. And it's the idea that at any stage, your brain can constantly change. Our brains are plastic. They can rewire and reform your neural connections. And so therefore, new connections can be formed, which means at any stage in life, you can change your ability with anything, whether it be just the way you feel, the way you remember things, music, language, etc. Like that old concept of an old dog can't learn new tricks is entirely wrong when relating to humans. So that's kind of one thing that's exciting, is we can learn and get better at this. And so if someone feels that they might not have the best systems in place with their mood, where they find that it's a bit erratic, great, that's fine. Recognize that. That's beautiful. Acknowledge that. Don't suppress it. Let's find some ways around it. There's ways we can deal with that. If you feel your cortisol sometimes gets out of control, small things get you super stressed or super anxious, again, that's fine. Like, everyone is on that spectrum. Don't think for a second everyone's happy. That is not true. That's not a thing. And everyone is super chill. Not true. Everyone is stressed. Everyone is anxious. Everyone is happy or sad. It's all a spectrum-based thing. And so I think that's what's really cool for people to realize. It's just like physical health. Like you might go ahead and say, if we're just talking about one type of physical health, so like being like big muscles and strong, you've got your Arnold Schwarzenegger at one side back in his prime, all the way down to like someone who's never picked up a weight in their life. That might be the spectrum for like gym fitness, if you're going to call it that one type of it. Same thing with any like area of mental fitness. But the beautiful thing is, you can start training. You could be that guy that's never touched a weight in your life, and you go ahead and you keep picking enough of them up. You're going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in time. You might be a person who starts with realizing, oh gosh, I'm not as mentally fit as I need to be. That's so cool. That's fine. What do people do that helps them with their fitness? It's like that first time, like it's all known that like, oh, if you want to get fit, you go for your run, you do your swim, you do your fitness stuff, you might do stretching, you might whatever. So like these are all known practices, but what do you do for your mental fitness? There's heaps of things. And I feel some people just might not have those tools in their little tool chest yet. And that's so cool because you can learn about them. And it's great. You can add them to your routine. It's fantastic to have them. I find if I get overwhelmed, which happens a lot, I go ahead and I have my little walk away thing. So if I'm in the middle of something and I'm just feeling like there's too much going on, my phone rings again, I'm like, oh my God, I got this thing and this thing and this thing and this, and I freak out, I literally just go, cool, I'm hating the energy that I have right now. This is not good. And I'll put 15 minutes on my timer. I'll put my phone on do not disturb, even though I know people are dying to call me and there's all this important stuff, whatever. Everyone can chill for a sec. And I'll go ahead and I'll chuck on a podcast or I'll put on an audiobook or I'll do whatever I want. I'll go for a walk. If it's raining outside, it might be as simple as just I'll do some stretches, I'll just chill, I'll relax. I might do some breathing. But the idea is I have like a little system in place that helps me to kind of get away from that, take a moment, get back in, and then everything is kind of cleared up a little bit for me. So, but that's just one little thing, and that's just my thing. Like, some people might do that and be like, Mark, that didn't work. That's cool. That didn't work for you. It might work for others, but the idea is it's worth giving everything a try. So really like that point that you made before that. I thought that was one of the really exciting ones. And repetition is a fantastic thing. You just got to keep showing up, and change comes from challenge.
Yes.
And growth comes from challenge, and you grow when you step outside of your comfort zone. I used to ponder about that quote when I worked as a lawyer, when I was sitting at my desk and I wanted to do more and I felt I could do more, except I didn't know how. And I sat there thinking, am I comfortable? And then I was like, I'm not comfortable. I'm working until fucking 2 a.m. some days. This isn't comfortable. But then I was like, am I comfortable? And then it was weird because you realize that I was trying to go ahead and fill the stuff in my life to like add value. I was doing singing lessons with this amazing guy called Siki Daha, who's actually got a music career now. It's epic. So I had music lessons going on. I was playing American football. I was trying to do all the sport during the day with my law firm Clayton Utes, so I could play like volleyball on this day, squash on this day, I could do whatever. But it was just all a means of filling time. So then if I go home at 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., whatever, at least I've done something in the day. But really all I was trying to do was just escape from how crappy everything was by trying to feel like I'm super busy, which made me feel like I'm not so comfortable because I'm trying to go ahead and push. But that was escapism, and that's different from challenging yourself. And I wanted to try and make that clear distinction, because a lot of people may find that confusing, because I definitely did. Because for a while I thought, well, I should be growing because I'm trying to do all this stuff. But that wasn't growth. That was fucking escaping. Growth is doing something that you don't want to do, that you hate to do, you're scared to do, and doing it anyway. That's putting yourself outside your comfort zone. Perfect example is what you literally did. You're the shy guy who doesn't want to be the center of attention, doesn't want to talk. What do? Bloody podcast. Make yourself the center of attention. Make yourself a bloody host. You have to do all the talking, knock out hundreds of episodes, and make it actually really damn impressive that you're actually getting more and more success. That is epic. But that's how you need to be, and that's what you want to do, because you've stepped outside your comfort zone, you grew, and now you're realizing, oh my gosh. And when you start challenging yourself, you realize you can keep on doing it. And that's what growth is going to be. And that's what mental fitness is, and that's what physical fitness is. Like, how does the body get stronger? Through challenge, through growth. Like, if you want to go ahead and get big muscles, what do you need to do? Lift heavy weights until they fatigue, until you can't lift them anymore, and then they get bigger and stronger. How do you go ahead and grow this thing? You have to go ahead and do the exact same stuff, right? You got to go ahead and keep pushing yourself through stuff that sometimes is unpleasant. But that's the idea of having a coach or working it out yourself. But it's pushing through those unpleasantries to go ahead and reach that next little step. And I feel these conversations, hopefully someone out there is listening going, I'm getting that. Because when I went from doing the lawyer stuff to doing what I do now, I had some questions on a piece of paper. I used to truck sick days. I used to go home, and for 2 hours, I would do nothing but sit at a desk and answer 3 questions. I had an A3 art diary. I had texters, so I made it kind of fun for myself. I put relaxing music on. Had my phone was turned off. No one was coming back to the place. And I just answered basic questions. And the second you start answering a question like, what makes me happy and why? And what makes me sad and why? And what do I like doing by myself and why? Simple questions, right? You got 120 minutes to answer them all. And the idea is you're going to keep pushing yourself. So your first basic answer question, then you start with why. Why did I write that? When was the first time that I thought that was a thing? What drew me to make that a point that makes me happy or sad? Because others aren't always like that. And then you keep doing this system, and you actually feel your body throwing up things such as all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I better go clean the house. I should call my mom. I should probably make dinner for later. And then it's just your body throwing out stuff because it's uncomfortable to go ahead and start to really get your shit together and learn your shit. That's uncomfortable. But that's your body in the same way as when you're going for a run, your body's like, fuck this, stop running, I'm tired. It's the same thing, except now you're doing the mental fitness exercise and your body is trying to go ahead and distract you with, fuck this, stop running. But instead it's, fuck this, stop making me feel uncomfortable. But it's that determination of, nah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that's what gets you fit. And the cool thing is once you start, you keep on going. Like you speak to people who go for the first run, they go through it, they do it, go again, they keep pushing. Before they know it, they're doing a marathon. Same thing with the mental kind of fitness. And so that's what's really cool. So anyone who thinks that like, oh, I'm really having a challenging time, I'm really suffering, it's not a great period for me, there is so much hope. There is so much that you can do. It is a case of you can do it. And I hope not speaking out of school, but that's just at least been an experience that I've seen for myself and for others. And obviously, I could be wrong. And so I hope no one's sitting out there judging, ridiculing me for saying that. But I do believe that there is something that can always be done to get yourself in better shape mentally.
Definitely agree. Like, yeah, we all have a choice to implement certain tools and tactics into your life. Now, you may not have the education on them at the moment, but you have the choice to go seek that education on it. We all have a choice in life. And I love that you mentioned, you were filling your life with all these, playing sport and working and all that stuff just to, I guess, avoid having that alone time to actually think about the reality of your life. And so many of us do that. We're so focused on our work and everything that we don't actually take that time to reflect. And being able to reflect and being self-aware of where you're actually at right at this current point in life and where you actually want to be is so important because we don't do it. But once you do that, like you did with your 3 questions, you would have realized, and I know you realized, like, fuck, this is not what I want to do. I want to do something else. And once people start to realize that, then they can actually start to pursue something that aligns with their passion, and they're going to be much more happier people, much more healthier people, which then is a preventative measure to stop them going down the dark holes.
100%. Like the clearest example is when you're going from A to B, you're walking from place to place, you're by yourself. Do you immediately put music on? Like I was the person who was always trying to do. If I'm going from place A to place B, might only be a 5-minute walk, I'm definitely putting music on, or I'm calling someone. I would very rarely ever do anything and be left alone with my own thoughts. I would always try and escape that. And I think a lot of people are the same. They're always doing, and they never get the opportunity to be left alone with their own thoughts to be like, because maybe I was concerned and I knew deep down at some level my own thoughts were not the best. And so that's probably why it was challenging to break through and actually be like, nah, let's leave me in the thoughts for a while and start figuring out. But that is the beautiful thing is in the end, it did work out. It was a positive thing, but yeah, I'm not gonna go ahead and say it was easy. It was a fucking challenge.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely confronting, that's for sure.
yeah, absolutely it is. And I'm sure anyone like may have ups and downs all the time. That's always gonna be the case. And like once you go ahead and you get yourself in better kind of shape, there's no like once you're there, you're there. No, like you can fall back and be all over the place, or like an incident can happen that kicks you on your ass. You don't feel like doing anything. That will always happen, and that's natural. It's normal. But I think that some of the education around it all is it's not a destination; it's a journey. And I know that sounds cliche as shit, but what I mean to say is, I think that some ideas out there of people are constantly happy or that they're always got the answers or they're fulfilled is total bullshit. Everyone has no idea. Everyone is just trying to do what they think they know. Again, what I was just saying before, and I'm no role model, is I just have some practices in place that just work for me to make me feel good. And all I'm encouraging people to do is get some practices in place to help them to feel good. And that's all it is. You do your thing. You try and do whatever makes you happy, and ultimately you'll find that what makes you happy is helping others and trying to do stuff for other people, whether it be your family, your children, society, whether it be immediate, larger. It just tends to be the way of the world. You can go ahead and read as much as you want into philosophy and happiness, but eventually you'll find out that it's giving back. So it's realizing in some way, shape, or form that whatever you want to do, and just find a way to do it in the best way that kind of allows you to be the best version of you. And ultimately, those are some little routines that you can take on board. And yeah, that's so. What I'm trying to, I'm kind of jumping around the point. What I'm trying to say is, you'll have your practices. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and that's cool. But it's worthwhile having something there, because that's the main thing that separates someone who is in shape to someone who's not in shape. Is just they have a routine, they have that discipline, they have that repetition.
You have those routines and tools that you can always come back to, but understanding that, hey, life is a roller coaster. It's going to throw curveballs at you. There's going to be ups and downs, and that's why I refer to our mental health, our mental well-being in like a 3-tier system, where we got mental health is our baseline. Everyone has it. Then we got below is mental illness, and at the top is mental fitness. Now, in between mental fitness and mental health is all the tools, tips, strategies, everything that we can implement to help us stay above that baseline. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to dip, we're going to be high, but it's just about understanding that, hey, I got these tools that I can implement. So if I have a bad day at work, I can go home, I can sit down, reflect, do some gratitude, go for a walk, or do something that's going to help you put yourself into a better state of mind. And that's why I love to refer to it as that, and I educate people on that, because yeah, it's just about understanding that, hey, we all have mental health, and it's going to go up and down. We're going to have good and bad days. Life's a roller coaster, but just continue to work on it. Just continue to get 1% better, and ultimately just strive to become the best version of yourself. Because if you're working on becoming the best version of you, you're able to turn up as the best version for your partner, your children, your work colleagues, everything within your life. You're able to turn up as your best self.
Absolutely. Like it's a really exciting and cool thing. But like even now that you're moving from place to place, like challenges seem to go with you. Like there's once you overcome one challenge, it's a new challenge. You find you're forever on a game of hurdles, and there's always a new thing. So like that's another really exciting thing is once you overcome a few challenges, it's not like suddenly life becomes a super easy street. There's always the next challenge, the next challenge, the next challenge. Like I think it's easy for some people to go ahead and look at someone and be like, oh, they have all that money, therefore it must be so easy for them. Or, oh, they have all that X, Y, Z, and it must be so easy. Not the case. Everyone's got their ups and downs and stuff, which I think is really, really cool. So on that point, and to that point, now that you've achieved this beautiful goal that you have a podcast and you're smashing through, what do you find your current challenges are and the big things that you're trying to achieve like next? Like obviously you need to be there for your partner and for your child, which is beautiful. Congratulations again. But so what's the current Nick approach to that next step?
Yeah. As I mentioned to you prior to this, like the big challenge is trying to balance it all. And I know balance is such a hard thing, especially when you're so driven in business and in life, but it's trying to get that balance between, hey, I want to build this podcast. I want to, you know, connect with people, build these networks, but also still work on myself and then still turn up as the best version of me for my partner and be there for my child. So that is the one of the biggest things that I'm adapting and trying to learn and get better at, because being a first time father, this is all new to me. Before it was just like, I can be selfish. I can just focus on me. But now I have a partner and a child that is reliant on me on time at times to be there for them. And
Yeah.
it is tricky, especially as you would know as a business owner, the amount of time and effort goes into building something as big as you want. And you have all these dreams and aspirations. But as I mentioned earlier, it's all good to achieve that. But what's the point of it if you don't have people there that you love and support you and make you happy because you chose to pick this external thing over your internal fulfillment? So that is something I'm working on at the moment, and it's just trying to grow this podcast and really have a really big impact in networking, connecting with people like yourself, and eventually, like, I want it to get to a point where it allows me to be financially stable, to this make money for me to be able to leave my job and do this on a more of a full-time basis and just be able to have as much impact as I can. And one of my biggest goals actually is to be able to mix travel and business together. I want to be able to travel and do podcasts and go to different cities and connect with a bunch of people and run programs and seminars and all this kind of stuff that I would love to do, because the more I can get out there, the more I can have an impact. And that's why, to a degree, I am focused on turning this, like making money from it, not for selfish reasons, but because I love money for the fact that the more money I can get, the more people I can impact.
Money's just a vehicle. Like
Mm.
whatever the hell you want to do, absolutely. Like that's, I think one of the prepositions of money is like sometimes, oh, it can be the root of all evil. But nah, if you're using it for good reasons, it's just it's a tool to go ahead and help to push, promote, and to elevate whatever you're planning on doing. So it's just something that just makes you more of. So if you're doing good, it makes you allow to do more good. People always make a joke and say, if you're a dick, like, you'll be more of a dick. But if you're a nice person, you'll be more of a nice person.
Yeah, it
Which
just
is really, really
exposes
cool.
who you truly are, right?
Absolutely, because it allows you to do more and find out what you are, because you're doing more of it.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. So that's like some of the big podcast people that I really like listening to and enjoy. That's what their life is. It's a mixture of travel and doing things and events and seminars and traveling the world and being a part of huge events, but always doing their podcasts on a weekly basis. So like that is a phenomenal goal to do, because it's kind of interesting that having never met some of these people, I feel so connected to some people just because I've listened to hundreds of hours of conversations. And I just sometimes find what's discussed, sometimes it really resonates. I'm like, wow. And other times it doesn't, but it might be informative and interesting. And I might get introduced to things that I don't know about. And a certain guest might come on that goes, oh, wow, I didn't know about this particular service or product or industry or whatever it might be. And so I just find the idea of education-based and interest-based podcast to be so, so cool. And the idea of you trying to create a life around that is epic. Like being able to do seminars with P, something incredibly cool. I know we discussed this a little bit, but last time we kind of stumbled upon it. But you had one idea, or something, planning on doing like a camp-based thing.
Yeah.
Are we cool to delve into that?
Yeah, because I've actually, like, we made a social media platform, and we created like a separate podcast for that event, like that business as well. So it's called Loss of Redemption. the main theory around it is because so many of us, like, it's aimed at men specifically to start with, but so many men are lost in life. We don't know our identity. We don't know our purpose. We don't even know how to handle our own emotions and how to express them. So if we can get these lost men to come to our program, our 1-day event, and teach them how to express their feelings, understand their feelings, feel comfortable opening up, being vulnerable, connecting into nature and connecting with other men, and just helping them to ultimately become better men and redeem themselves and get themselves back on track. Because ultimately, if we can help men become better men, they're going to be better partners, going to be better fathers. And that prevents, domestic violence or single, relationship breakups, all these kind of things that we're hoping that we can prevent. That's the whole aim of our program, to help men truly become better men.
Which I think is an extremely honorable and exciting thing. Like, a conversation I even had this morning with my partner was around actually the extremity of violence caused by men in domestic situations, and just the fear that it instills in the opposite gender because of that, which is an enormous shame. So a lot of it can stem from whether it be toxic masculinity or various other traits. So I think things like this are extraordinarily valuable, not just for the benefit of men, for the benefit of society as a whole, because there's clearly still a large issue with the education for males around what's appropriate behavior in numerous conducts. And there's still a lot of people who still hold these old school values that boys will be boys, which is fucking wrong. And I think anything that is talking about alleviating this and improving the lives of those guys is great, because it's a huge thing for society, but also for some of those dudes, like they might have grown up in whatever circumstance they have. And so it's very common for guys to have this viewpoint of, well, we're tough and we're strong and we don't discuss our feelings. And unfortunately, you have to, and it ends up coming out and being vented through very uncool ways. And so being able to instead open up that conversation and re-educate on some of the ideas is great and of massive benefit. So epic. I'd love to go to something like this. I think there's always room for improvement, no matter who you are or what you are. I think there's always a benefit to be gained. And yeah, to be honest, I love being around this kind of stuff since really getting involved in personal development, personal health, mental development and fitness for the last decade or so. I'm just loving it. And so I'm always just trying to find anything that's like surrounding, and I get all excited. Like, yeah, I want to be at that. I want to go to this. I want to do this. So like whenever there's like biohacker seminars, because I'm that kind of a guy who loves doing the biohacking stuff, I get all pumped up. So, yeah, got to do that. I found out there's a place down the road from where I am that does all these breathing rituals, infrared saunas and ice baths and all this other kind of cool stuff, hyperbaric oxygen chambers. And I'm like, oof, need to be a part of that. So a retreat that's surrounding, let's go ahead and connect with ourselves and try and be better people. 100%. Definitely want to be a part of that. It's
so important, especially for what we're wanting to do with men, because I guess there's this misconception that men can't communicate. Yeah, I believe men are really good communicators. It's just there's no safe environment or safe space for them to truly open up, and they don't know. They were never taught to express their feelings in a healthy way. Now, that could be from their upbringing and childhood traumas, and maybe not having a father figure in their life, or so many different elements that could, shape them into who they are today. But if we can get to that root cause, and as you said, like re-educate them and really teach them how to express their feelings, and especially in a small, intimate group surrounded by other men, and vulnerability breeds vulnerability. So if we can be vulnerable ourselves, if we can be vulnerable ourselves, it's going to allow them to feel comfortable opening up, and it's going to get down to their root cause of what's causing all this emotion, all this anger that may be inside them, and get that out. And then also give them the tools and tips that they can implement once they leave this event. So then when they may get triggered or something might come up, they're like, hey, like I can take 2 minutes and do this breath work to really get back to, center and change my state of mind. So it's very important, and we're very excited to bring it to life essentially. And we're hoping by the end of this year, we can run our first event.
Yeah. Like it's a really, really cool thing to be able to do. And definitely want to be a part of it if I can. I know that there's a lot of people as well that would probably be very interested in coming. Just because I don't know if there's many of these. I'm sure there seems to be more than there was previously, which is great. But I was a part of an online course called Momentum. Men being the capital thing.
Is that Dylan Ruse?
Yeah,
I had him on the podcast last week. Yeah, he mentioned you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I had the Savvy, and he's like, "Oh, is that Mark Curry?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. So Dylan's a great dude. So smart. Works with young guys. Really tries to help to discuss the idea of masculinity and how to embrace it and not allow it to be toxic, which I think is really cool. So himself, a guy called Genoa and a guy called Blake, the main brains trust of that whole thing. And they bring on some different guests and stuff. What I thought was really cool is I was lucky enough to be a part of the group last year. And it was just a online course that went for 3 or so months. But what was really cool is we'd always have before going through the coursework each week, we were encouraged to talk for the first 5-10 minutes. And it was discussing a challenge, a lesson, and a win. So I always thought it was kind of nice. So, and throughout the week, we're encouraged to be on a WhatsApp group, which I moved to Telegram now, but same kind of a concept, discussing challenges, wins and losses. And it's so cool because these guys are just breaking down, being as emotional as they want to be in a safe space. And it's great because some of the people are saying that they haven't been able to discuss these feelings which they've had for years because they can't with their friends, they can't with their family, and they feel trapped because they have these emotions and nowhere to go. And now they've managed to find a place where they can actually discuss and process and work through and improve. And it's just brilliant because they didn't feel they had that opportunity. So Momentum was that. What you're doing is that. And so there's lots of places for this, which is great because being able to process and improve and discuss, it's a thing that's just going to domino effect, right? And it's going to help people become better fathers, better people. And it's going to cause someone to go ahead and be there in a bar and hear so-and-so say something that's uncool. And that person's going to turn the frame like, whoa, that's not cool. Like whether maybe they're racist, something that was misogynistic or sexist or racist or something that's just generally uncool. That being a more awake person, a more helpful and for societal person is going to cause those people that attend your course, that attend other courses, to be more likely to be like, whoa, not cool, which is for the benefit of everything.
Yeah.
So again,
it creates that ripple effect, eh?
100%. And like that's what this is doing right here, right now. Like it's creating a ripple effect. Like there's I remember stumbling across this the very first time, whatever it was, 10 or so years ago, and it was pretty cool. And so since then, I've been lucky enough to have so many conversations, as have you. And so there's always something that kind of catches you and then keeps on going. But you then tell all your network and then someone hopefully may flick on this for the first time, perhaps out of random luck and chance. Maybe it was your name or my name or someone's name that drew it toward them, and then they've watched it, and now it's going to cause a ripple effect. Perhaps it was Dylan Ruse from last week that's got lots of he's quite popular among a lot of young men. And maybe they've listened to this episode too, and maybe they were feeling the same kind of a situation that I felt with being trapped with a corporate lifestyle gig and wanting to get away from that. And maybe that's caused a ripple effect for them and all their friends. So it's a really, really cool thing how benefit breeds benefit, which unfortunately can run the exact opposite. But in this way, we're remaining positive.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And even to refer to within my podcast community, I've created a a little like grateful club community. So we have like 20 odd members, and every day you post like 3 things you're grateful for. And I love just going in the chat and seeing everyone's gratefuls. But then there's some days that someone might be struggling. They're like, hey, I'm struggling today. And everyone just picks them up, and they might send them private messages and stuff. And everyone's just supportive of everyone, and everyone feels comfortable being vulnerable. And these little communities that we're all creating, as you said, it allows them to be better people within society as well. And honestly, it's so good, especially, people that may be struggling and they jump in the chat and they see everyone else's gratitudes and like, oh, okay, like I've had a bad day today, but what am I grateful for? And then that changes their state of mind because they've seen everyone else's gratitudes. So now they're looking for things that they're grateful for. And I've had so many compliments from people within the chat saying, this has really like changed my life, because before I would have like a negative mindset and never look for the good things in life. Now that I jump in this chat every day, I'm looking for something that I'm grateful for. And it's just really making me such more of a happier person. And that makes me so proud and happy knowing that you can start a simple Instagram group chat and it can have a massive impact on people's lives.
So what's awesome is this is called the reticular activating system. It's basically a whole bunch of neurons, or like brain cells in our brainstem, that effectively help us to what we focus on and what we don't focus on. Because like as humans, we're like, there's so much going on. Like I can kind of half hear neighbors over there having a conversation, guys next door are playing music, I hear the fan over my head, and whether my partner's come home from stuff. There's heaps of stuff going on, but you block it all out and you focus on one thing. And that's what the RAS does, the reticular activating system. So it's that phenomenon of say you're considering purchasing a blue car, like, oh everyone's got a blue car. Say you just bought a dope new like a yellow shirt or something, right? You're like, this is a really cool yellow shirt. You're looking around and you go, oh crap, everyone's got yellow shirts. And it's just because you're focusing on it. So when you are focusing on things to be grateful about and to be happy about, and all of the cool things that are going on in your life, you start to focus on those things. And they were always there, just like the blue cars and the yellow shirts, they were always there. But now you're paying attention to it, and you're allowing that to put you in a better mood. And you're allowing that, and the key word is allow, is you're allowing that to make you go, oh gosh, everything is actually pretty damn good. And there's always things to be grateful for. And once you're paying attention to the good stuff, which is always there, you tend to become much happier. And that's when it becomes like a really cool and like almost beautiful quote from Coach Carter popularized it, but it's actually initially from a poem. And it's the whole idea that like, as we shine, which we're all meant to do, as children do, it's not in us, it's in like all of us. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to also shine. Like I may have butchered the exact poem, but the idea is that once we start being nicer and brighter and we try and do more things and we're more positive, we're going to create positivity around us. Just like that group chat has for people, where yourself and your friends are discussing things to be grateful for. It's now forcing people to look for things to be happier about. So instead of being in a bad mood and looking for things to get grumpy about, and trust me, if you're looking for stuff to get yourself in a bad mood, you can jump on the internet and like just search for stuff that's wrong in the world. You find a fucking ton of stuff to get upset about. But if you look for stuff that's good in the world, it's actually pretty cool. I was actually subscribed to something which gives me weekly updates, which I recommend people have a look at. It's called Good News Network. Literally just tells you cool stuff that's happening in the world. Small thing, but just because there's so much negative media out there. And so I love the idea of finding these little things and you're like, oh wow, did you know that like on the eastern coast of Australia, there's a puppy seaweed which might actually help to solve a plastic problem that we have in the world? Epic. How cool is that? So it's all these little tiny things that you find out about just through being aware of some of the good news that's going on in the world. And it can all happen just from switching the viewpoint. And it starts with being grateful, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like all these little changes that you can implement in your daily life. Like, so people jump on social media straight in the morning, like there's all these negative stuff, right? So if I can have this grateful club group full of gratefuls, and you check that instead of scrolling down your feed and it's all negative, like it's going to have so much more of a positive impact on that person's day, especially the start of their day. Like if you're starting it with something positive instead of negative, you're going to have such a good day.
Yeah. People always say stuff like win the morning, win the day, win the morning, win the day. It sounds cliche, but it's kind of true because you set yourself up to be in a good headspace early and you find yourself will keep that headspace for as long as possible. And what's kind of cool is you'll note something that previously when you thought about may have made you envious or jealous or upset. Oh, I wish I had that. And then you review it again in a year or two when you spent your time being purposefully more grateful and supportive and happy of others. And then you catch yourself realizing so-and-so's got a whatever. And you're like, I'm so happy for them. And suddenly, whoa, what the fuck happened? A year ago, you were envious and jealous. And now it's the same thing, same circumstance. You're going, I'm proud of them. That's so good for them. And it's so great. It's that like Americanized style thing. It's say you purchased a brand new car and you pull up with friends and you've got your new car, whatever kind of car it is. And American culture seems to be very like, pick up like, yeah, you got the new car, Mark. Fuck yeah, how good's this? But it seems in Australia, sometimes we have a tall poppy syndrome thing, which can be a bit toxic, which is people going, oh, do you have to go ahead and splash cash, mate? Like, do you feel like a big man now with a new car? Like, which is a bit kind of lame. So the idea is you don't need to be over the top sensationalized high fives all the time. The idea is by making yourself more happy, because there's so many good things to be happy about. When something happens, try and believe a bit more in the good for things. So if someone cuts you off in traffic, it's really cool that sometimes I'll notice myself, I'll catch myself, and instead of being like, better hit the horn, motherfucker, which old me would have done, and I'm sure a lot of people would have been similar. But instead, sometimes I'll catch myself, and I won't always, like occasionally I will still hit that horn and yell and scream. But sometimes the idea is if someone cuts you off, you can instead just be like, right, well, they must be in a massive hurry. Who knows what's on their agenda? Maybe someone's sick in the hospital, they're trying to rush out, maybe they're late for a flight. Who knows? But like, all I know is I'm cool. I know where I'm going, and I've got a bit of time management on my side, so I'm sweet. Hop in front of me, man. Like, it's not going to go ahead and change my life. All good. And it's just that kind of flip that now a circumstance is happening, and there's always going to be things happening to you, but it's just the way that you allow it to, how you allow that event to change how you feel. That's what we have control of. And it can happen just from this particular activating system, which is literally pushing your viewpoint to look for things and be, I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that. So now when things happen to you, you're looking for the good. You're always looking for the good instead of looking for the bad. And so when any event happens to you, you're far more likely to take the positive, good approach as opposed to the negative approach. And this is a learned behavior that takes a while to learn. It's not something you'll get in a week. You might not get it in a month. You might not get it in a year. It might take a while. Unless maybe you are a really speedy learner, it might take you a week. Who knows? But the idea is, it's taken me fucking years. But now, like when events happen, I find myself being way more kind of stoked and happy about stuff. And I'm always trying to look for a bit more good because there's enough bad stuff out there. So you're not forcing yourself to, you're just trying to constantly surround yourself with good things and positive ways to view stuff. And after a while, it does rub off on you because you are changing your wiring of your brain to look for the good over looking for the bad. And so that's, again, back to a fitness thing, right? We spent so long forcing ourselves to look for the good instead of the bad. But now we're almost hardwired to see the good. We still see the bad, we don't miss it. But we're looking a bit more for it, which is great. But that's pretty epic. And I'm loving that obviously you share the same kind of view and you've created a group around that, which is super cool.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think a lot of people need to find their tribe, the people that they can be open and vulnerable with. Very helpful.
Yeah, it's so important to live life with gratitude and also empathy. Like you mentioned, if you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off, it's, hey, have empathy for that person because you don't know what they're going through. Or if someone puts a negative comment on your social media, it's funny, like we could have like 50 positive comments, that one or two negative ones, we put all our energy into that. But instead, just have empathy and be like, hey, like maybe what you posted brought out an insecurity within them. It's not your fault that you posted it. It's more so their fault. So have empathy and be like, hey, if you need a chat, if something's wrong, like I'm here and talk to you. Like
there's something unhealed in you, and I'm sorry for whatever caused you to write that negativity. Like, we're not brought up to spew negativity. We're brought up to spew positivity and beautiful things. Look at children, for instance. They're just a fountain of just like whatever's on their minds. There's something unhealed and something's upsetting in you that cause that negativity. And I'm sorry for whatever that is. But I know that if I retort in a negative way, it's not going to make the world a better place. So yeah, that idea of empathy is fucking very, very important. And just realizing that, yeah, there's a reason why people do that. Like, I think it's a bit of a Marxist perspective as well, is when someone does something which is uncool or unkind, instead of judging them, be like, oh, you're a dick. Instead, like, something out of place has happened to this person, and it's not my business to judge, but something has happened that's caused them to do that, and that's a shame. So I'm not going to negatively react to it. I'm just going to observe it and let it go ahead and do its thing, because me reacting negatively to it is going to only make the situation worse. So like the whole like kill 'em with kindness vibe, right? Like someone says something angry and you're like, I'm like, maybe you're being persistent to go ahead and hang out with some friends you haven't seen for a while. Eventually they just go, oh, dude, like I can't do it this month. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry for frustrating you with my friendship, man. I was just keen to hang out with you, and sorry that we can't do it. Like, because then suddenly they'll be like, oh wow, man, now I feel really bad. Actually, yeah, let's do it next Thursday. And like, look, I get it. You're super busy and you're frustrated and you're letting that like lead your life. That's cool. We can do it next Thursday. We don't much after. But the idea is everything's changed because you just allowed them to be like, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to be nice here. And then they go, oh, it seems to kind of snap for them sometimes. But that's that beautiful kill with kindness kind of vibe, which I think can be a much better approach for problem solving with anything.
Yeah, definitely. There's this saying that I love. Anger knocked on the door, love answered, anger wasn't there anymore. So you attack,
Yeah, right.
you go with life with love, because if someone's angry and you go, if they're swearing at you, they go, fuck you, whatever. And you go, hey man, I love you. Like, that's going to stop them in their tracks, and they're going to go, what the hell is happening here? But if you go anger and anger, fire and fire, that's just going to create a bigger fire, right? So if we can lead life with love and not be taking everything so personally as well, because as we said, we don't know what's happening in the other person's life. So don't take it all to heart, and don't fight anger with anger.
Yeah. And it's easy to throw judgment and to assume that they're feeling the same things that we're feeling. So it's like, oh, if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't have done that. Not the best way to do it. You're not in their shoes. You've no idea. So, and like when someone writes something angry or negative, or they act in a way, we don't know what's under the surface. Maybe they've been dealing with challenging stuff for weeks, months, years. And like an unpleasant comment could be something that's just going to make their suffering go from bad to worse. So sometimes it is just, and it's hard to be kind in the face of someone being unkind. But again, learned behavior, it's a cool thing to do. And again, leads to a total better situation. So maybe that could be like the charitable thing you do for the day is someone's a complete jerk to you, and instead of going off the handle, you hit them with a bit of kindness. And maybe that's your good act for the day. If you're trying to go ahead and tick off one good act for the day, maybe that's it. Someone's rude to you and you're right, and you say something really kind back to them. Like maybe someone hits you with a judgy comment going, oh, like, are you still wearing those shoes? And maybe instead of like reacting rudely, just go, yeah, I am. I like the fact that you have new shoes. They're like, that's really cool. I wish I was a bit more trendy like you. And not like in a sarcastic fitting, something like that, and then just walk away and be like, whatever, like I don't give a shit about the shoes they wear. And now they've got a better feeling, which is like a win-win for everyone. And hopefully they don't feel the need to make those kind of comments again, because they probably didn't expect you to be kind in return, which, as you said before, I like that idea. Anger knocks the door, love answered, anger's not there anymore.
Yeah, I love it. I use it a lot. And I want to go back a tiny bit, because I wanted to ask this question before, but you're working, in this law, was it law firm? You're a lawyer, correct? Yeah. So you were doing that, you weren't happy. How did you build the courage to be like, hey, I'm leaving this, you know, probably high paying job, comfortable job to go pursue Savvy Beverages, which is probably going to take a lot of time and effort to actually try and make some money from it?
Oof. So, um, great question. So I guess starting from the top in the quickest possible way is initially I realized that what I was doing I wasn't particularly happy with. It took a while to realize that. Working as a lawyer in a top tier law firm, you feel like you're in the mecca of where it's meant to be. You've just spent 6 years achieving this degree and this career path. So therefore, technically, all right, you should spend a couple of years doing it before you throw in the towel. So I did it for a year, didn't love it. And I started expressing that to people, friends, family. They're like, oh, come on, Mark, I spent 6 years getting a degree. Give it another year, give it another year, give it another year. And you're like, yeah, that's fair enough. I'll try it a bit more. Give it another year, don't like it. You're like, oh, cool, don't like it. Change the law firm. Like, just mix it up. Like, there's some that are good, some that are bad. Maybe it's just, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll mix it up. And then I switched the type of law and I switched the thing. And then you're like, don't like this either. And then that's when I started to think, what else could I do if I wasn't doing this? And that thought process is what kind of changed everything. But that happened by fluke of attending a seminar because of a friend of mine. And this is the beautiful thing, the ripple effect, right? A friend of mine had gone to a Tony Robbins seminar and was raving about it. And at the time I was just like, oh my God, like those are the people that hug and high five and massage each other and do things. Because I was doing the corporate thing and I was doing and I was doing sport and I was doing this, that. I was fully booked now and I don't have any extra time. That was my little narrative for myself at the moment. So, but nonetheless, there was a thing called Prosper from Your Passion. And it was a weekend seminar and I knew it for a couple hours. And I was like, all right, fine, like kept pushing me to do it. I was like, all right, let's go. And then it was just epic, super eye-opening, really glad I went to it. And it was just a whole lot of things where people were discussing the idea of a job in a way that I've never heard before. Look, saying job's an acronym for just over broke. And I was like, all right, never heard that before. Weird, okay. And just the way they were discussing different things that you can do was just eye-opening, and it just totally switched so many perspectives, full immersion therapy, because I was there for like 6 hours with people discussing in break time and afterwards, and everyone is just on a different wavelength to what I was used to. And that was a huge part to gaining some of the courage required to be like, all right, so this is what you call personal development. Hey, it's not as weird as I thought. I thought personal development was for people that have issues they need to develop away from because they've got the issues, right? I had that shitty viewpoint. And so I was really lucky to have a mate that was like, nah, man, you got to come to this thing. And then I did. And that was the first big like eye-opening experience, which is why whenever I see someone who has a very closed mindset, I'm like, the reason they're closed is no one's ever had the chance to open it. That's the reason they're closed. So I don't judge them. Just like, they just need some education. They just need someone to help them. They just need someone to show them. Just like I closed the box. And then one day I had the opportunity to someone lift up the flap, and then I was like, whoa, there's so many cool things. So that's what helped to get that first little bit of courage. I then started to go ahead and do so many personality tests. I did career aptitude tests. I was just always just looking for like something to show me what could I do if I wasn't doing this. But that first realization that I don't need to be a lawyer anymore if I don't want to, it was just like this thing inside of me was just growing, and I just felt fucking empowered. I can do it. Like, what? This is epic. Like, I didn't realize I need to do this. I don't need to do this. I can put this off. And that was really, really cool. So then it turned into, okay, well, if not this, then what and how? And like, that is a pretty comfortable career path. It's paying me well. It's doing what I want to do. There's big career progression, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, and now I'm like, what, like 20, at that point in time, I was like 25, 26. So the idea of like going back to stage one felt like a bit of a backward step. But I'm going to be working for what, till I'm probably 60, 70. On the grand scheme of things, it's all right. So that was another thing that kind of gave me a bit of courage, is the realization that I'm going to be working for many, many decades. May as well do something that's going to make me okay and make me happy. So yeah, it was asking myself lots of questions, doing lots of career aptitude tests, lots of time at home, whether it was calling in sick or on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, with pen and paper, writing down what I like to do and why, asking myself questions and doing it. There was so many websites that I went to, so many different like places that I started looking for more seminars. I started doing more seminars and doing more of these things. I eventually went to the Tony Robbins seminar called Unleash the Power Within.
I've done that. That's amazing.
Yeah, day one, I was just like, these fucking cooks, this isn't me. And by 3, I'm there and I'm standing on top of the chair going, yeah, this is nice. And I'm just trying to like, get people up and go, yes, everyone's come stand on your chairs, dance, which is ridiculous. But that was a beautiful kind of a breakthrough that happened over, again, full immersion style stuff. So the courage just came from realizing there's an option, and then it just kept going on and on from there, because once you start realizing there's something, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like, I have no idea how to get there. There's a ton of obstacles between where I am now and that light, but I'm gonna find that light. And there was periods when I was super disenchanted and kind of like disheartened by going, people have a passion, I don't. Fuck. Like some people want to be a radio host, and they are. They want to be a sportsman, and they are. They want to do whatever, and they're doing it. And I'm like, I have no idea. I have no passion. I got really like kind of like Devo, like, because again, the journey's ups and downs. And I remember one Devo point was devastated, I should say, was that I had no idea of passion. And then I realized when I was Google searching things like, what is a passion? And how do people know they have passions? And I was, again, doing my personality tests, trying to figure out what passions I like and all the rest of it. And some of these are like Myers-Briggs 40 question ones, some are like 150 questions. I'm spending hours filling it out. But you're actually, for the first time ever, getting to know yourself, which is wild, because I'd never spent the time doing it. I was always distracting myself, right? And then I'm realizing, oh my gosh, all of the little things that I like to do, they're passions. And that's when because I had this view that a passion has to be like this super mega calling thing that you run toward. And I realized, well, no, it doesn't. Passions are just like loads of little things that I like. I like talking to people. I like educating people. I like giving advice. I like health. I like fitness. I love the idea of nutrition. I love the idea of nootropics. I like the idea of, so you start pulling all these things together, and then I eventually started to note and realize, hang on, well, right now around my office in my law firm, I have your regular books and your law crap. And then on the other side, I had pills, powders, potions, and like, it was ridiculous. My office looked like a bloody chemistry lab. But it was all the stuff that I ended up putting in this bloody thing, because that was what I loved. For me, it was, you can take these things and take these things and take these things and change the way this works. And I loved that. And I'd always bore all my colleagues to death, just going, oh, did you know if you have pseudocarnitine and pseudotyrosin, if you have this and you have this, you can actually, and they're like, snooze, Mark, sorry, don't care. But like, if you pre-mix this and you can give it to us, give it to us. And I was like, all right. And so I found that to be where the courage kind of stemmed from, is the realization that, oh my gosh, I actually might have a passion. Oh my gosh, I might have an idea. And then, yeah, day one, when I attended my resignation, I went, I'm out, I'm going to start a business. Day one, at my laptop, at home, Google searching, how to start a nutrition company. And I had no idea. And I was meant to have a degree in business, right? So I should know this. No, you don't know this. You know the theory. I'm great with finance and economics and accounting, but trying to actually do the real practicality, not much help. So I was just trying to go, how do I start a nutrition company? And then I was like, all right, so I got this idea, how do I do it? And then that was the big change. And then it's like, all right, well, I'm back with mum and dad. I quit my job. I can't afford food and rent and going out. So my lifestyle had to have a huge shift. So it was really a case of, am I ready for all this crap? Am I ready to take that leap? And it was a now or never thing. I was like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And I'll forever be that person who wished they did more with their time, didn't. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to go ahead and do it and give it a try. And hey, Mark, worst comes to worst. If shit's really bad and you're still nowhere in 2 or 3 years, you can always go ahead and pick up where you left off. Like, you'll have an amazing ride, you'll have an amazing journey, and it's worth a crack either way, right? So that's what kind of pushed me to be like, it's all good. Like, you're lucky that you have a support system in place. You're lucky that you got some stuff. You're lucky that we're in a country that allows us to do these things. So let's fucking go. And so I did, and it worked out. And at the start, it was not easy. There was so many times that I was so tempted to give it up. But anyway, you got to push and persevere and make it work. And only now, like literally after, this started in 2016, by the way, and now we're in 2022. I got this on the market in January of this year, which means it took that long to do the thing. And now we're at a stage where it's doing its thing. So as I said before, it's tip of the iceberg stuff, right? No one sees the months of time that I don't think I left my room, don't think I left my pajamas while I spent hours and hours trawling PubMed and other different online databases to find evidence to prove that the amount of ashwagandha that I planned on using, which is a stress-reducing herb, has other trials proving that it works. Because I had a viewpoint that you're going to make a health-based product, you better find some bloody proof showing that this ingredient at this amount equals the benefit. And so I wanted to go ahead and find a huge amount of stuff. So when people go, because people always can be skeptical, going, mate, you're telling me I can have one of these drinks, it's going to change the way I feel. So, and I'm like, absolutely, like that's just an education thing. So yes, I'm telling you that's the case. Have you had a headache and took Panadol? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wasn't it cool that you had these 2 little tablets and just to totally remove pain? So what if I was to tell you that we have concentrated ingredients that are equivalent to 20 grams of stuff, which is like 5 heaped teaspoons? Do you reckon if I put 5 heaped teaspoons of herbs and vitamins and amino acids, there's a chance it's going to make you feel a little bit different? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's what it is. And then there's like, oh, okay, that kind of checks out now. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Like we got there. And I think more and more people are getting more used to that idea, which is great. But trying to figure out where do I get these? Where do I find a can? Where do I do the thing? Where do I keep it? I had none of that information at the start. And getting that off the ground in Australia was super hard because no one wanted to go near me. Everyone thought I was a time waster because you're going to them going, hey, so I'm doing something that hasn't been done using ingredients that you can't pronounce and I can barely pronounce myself. And yeah, like phosphacetyl or serine. Of course. Yeah. We always use that. No, we don't. See, like I'm talking about these like ridiculous ingredients and that I know of, but again, it's not commonplace in Australia. So there's no suppliers for these ingredients. They've never used them before. There's no idea on how to use them. I had to have fights with the food standards in Australia and New Zealand with the Therapeutics Goods Association. This is where I was delighted that I had that legal background, because I had people saying, no, Savvy is not allowed to be a drink. Savvy is a medicine, it's too strong. You're not allowed to go ahead and have a product that has the same ingredients that naturopaths and nutritionists give to improve mood and reduce stress. No, absolutely not. I'm like, okay, sure. Show me where it says in the Food Act, which governs what we can and can't do with food, why I can't do that. And then I realized pretty quickly that the policymakers and the people who are enforcing the policy actually don't even understand the law that the policy is built on.
Always the way.
So I had a few enlightening, I know, right? So I had a few enlightening conversations with people and just politely explaining, look, I totally get your viewpoint. Unfortunately, I interpret in a different way, and here's my understanding and here's why. And yeah, eventually we managed to break down a couple barriers and get it done. The downside is years are flying by. Like we're talking 3 and 4 years before we finally have our formulation to get it together. I'm collaborating with nutritionists, dietitians, naturopaths, neurologists, and to do that, like that's time and it's money. So I was working as a tutor. And then I'd go ahead and be working and doing background stuff as well, and I'd get that money together, and then I'd actually burn all that money to get the brains trust together to make sure we're on the right path. And then so I'd have like a bit of money because I've saved it up from tutoring students, and all gone, but at least I know I'm on the right path. And then you keep doing that. Then a few more months later, I have a little bit of money. Let's get the crew back together. Does everyone agree this is the best idea? It is. Cool, thank you. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. I'm back to having no money. But cool, at least I know I'm on the right path. So it's a slow, long slog. And I knew it was going to be a slow, long slog. But I gave myself that time period of, hey, we'll do it. And then once I started it, I subscribed to a totally different viewpoint, which is if you want to take an island, like imagine if you and imagine like we're back in the medieval ages, right? And it's like an ancient army tactic thing. And the whole idea is if you rock up on an island with the boats and you guys want to go ahead and take the island, smartest thing to do, burn the fucking boats. Go ahead and say, troops, we can't fucking leave this thing. Our only option is forward. And then once you take away plan B, plan A is your only option. And so that's what I subscribed to. I changed from thinking, well, if it doesn't work, Mark, you can return to that other lifestyle. I was like, no, not an option anymore. Burn that boat. My only option is to go forward. And I think that change in perspective and I guess the courage, if you will, it just kind of comes from pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It felt uncomfortable as hell to do something I'd never done before. I consistently felt overwhelmed. I felt like I had no idea what I was doing, but you just keep going. And some days you just might not feel like doing a thing, and that's okay. Other days you do feel like being super productive, and that's also okay. But it's just giving yourself permission to figure out how the hell you sink or swim in this unknown, uncharted water. And that's what it was.
I love that, bro. Thank you for sharing that, actually, because it's such a strong message within that. Because for the listeners, so many people are working jobs that they don't like, but for us talking here today, it's proof that, hey, you can leave that job that you don't like. You can find a passion. You can work on it. Yes, it's going to be a slog, but it's going to be so worth it in the end. Instead of staying in a comfortable job that you hate, getting to 80, 90, 100, looking back on your life with regret. Like for me, one of my biggest fears is regret. I don't want to look back at my life and be like, hey, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I do not want that. So I want to take every opportunity that comes my way. And I know it's going to be hard. It's not going to be overnight success. Like so many people want instant gratification and all this
100%.
success straight away, but it's not like that. And that's why within the podcast game as well, so many people start podcasts because they think, oh, it's cool. I can start a podcast and I'm going to talk to all these awesome guests. I'm going to get all these downloads. I'm going to get money. And then they jump in there. It's like, fuck, there's so much more that goes into this, and comes back to the iceberg analogy. And then you see them, they don't even last a few months. They're like, this is too hard. I'm leaving. And there's so many people like that within any industry because they don't understand how hard it actually is to get something started, but actually grow it to the size, to a big size, to have a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's just hats off to you for doing it and for pushing and for growing. And because we both have complete understanding and respect for each other because we know what goes into showing up all the time to do the things. And I think it's something that is pretty cool, but a lot of people can live life a bit more on their own terms. I know it's easy to go ahead and work for someone else. And if you like doing that and you like your job, beautiful, you're lucky, stay in it. But for a lot of people who don't like their job, there is something else you potentially could do. And I know you might feel trapped right now. I know that's quite challenging. And I think that's fair that you feel trapped. If it makes you feel better, I felt the same. However, if you do enough looking into potentially doing something else, you'll eventually find that it's an option. There is a way to do it. And it might just start with a weekend-based thing on the side. Might just start with something small on the side, and then eventually you turn that into your main thing. Or you can just go total balls to the wall approach and just go cold turkey and just throw everything away and try and figure out the next thing. And yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, it's awkward. And Absolutely. And depending on your age, and you might be anywhere, and who knows where you are on age. And I guess I was lucky that at the time I was in my 20s, but like there are so many people in the seminars that I went to who were changing their lives in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And that's where I realized, wow, these people are doing it. What the hell's my excuse? I'm a bit younger than that. But nonetheless, who cares how old you are? You can still bloody do it. Like that's the coolest thing as well, is doesn't make a difference. Right? Age is just a number. Like no matter what you're going to be working, you may as well do something that's going to make you happier. So yeah, it's scary as hell, but it's meant to be, right? That's
It's
growth.
worth it. 100% worth it. And I wanted to ask you, like, what's the big vision for Savvy? Like, where do you see it in 5-10 years time?
Oof. So I can tell you what we're doing next, which is kind of fun. So we're doing more flavors for this. We're currently R&Ding our third flavor, which is going to be a tropical passion fruit, which we're stoked about. We always want to go with like kind of health-based, fruit-based flavors, except without sugar, which is kind of cool. And all of our flavors actually come from like the piths and the skin and the flesh of the fruit. So it's all like a very naturally steam distilled, which is pretty cool. So it's a new kind of way of doing things, but we're trying to hope that it catches on so more people do healthier, non-artificial, and they do the natural stuff. So that's first part. We currently have 2 different coffee lines. We have coffee pods, which are biodegradable and compostable coffee pods, which is cool because 5 million Australians every day in Australia use a coffee pod machine. Most of them have Nespresso coffee. However, majority of them are using the foil or the plastic coffee pods. Now, this takes 300 to 500 years to biodegrade.
Really?
Pretty uncool.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's insane. So mathematically, if there's that many people having one every day, that equates to around 1.2 to 1.3 billion pods going to landfill every year that are going to be there for 300 or 500 years. Now, I've gone ahead and done the maths for it. This is equivalent to 60 blue whales filled with coffee pod waste on a beach every year, stacked on each other, that we need to go ahead and dig holes in the ground and dump it every year because we're choosing to not take biodegradable or compostable coffee pods. Savvy does it. So many other companies do it too. Like there's no reason why you're still having foil and plastic ones. So it's not a plug for me. It's a plug for the fucking environment. So that's one of the businesses that we do, and that's why we do it that way. We also have coffee powder. So for people who don't have machines, want to have it on the go. Again, we try and go with the correct, environmentally friendly form of the sachets and the rest of it, because again, it's an option in today's world. A little bit more expensive, but we should always be taking the idea that it's worth spending an extra couple cents for our health or a few cents for the environment, the right thing to do. So yeah, we do it in that way. So we have the coffee powder, we have the drink. The reason we're in cans as well, by the way, is environmentally sustainable. We don't recycle glass as much as we should. People seem to think that there's all these glass recycling facilities around Australia. It's not. We do recycle aluminium though. Aluminium is also forever recyclable. Glass isn't. You can only do it a few times over before it becomes a waste. So better for the environment equals aluminium. So we're doing more flavors in that. Coffee pods, coffee powder. The next thing is a ready to drink version of the coffee. So we want to make an iced coffee with benefits. Because if you think about what's in the fridge at the moment for iced coffee, there's not much. There's like 1 or 2 like short black brands, and then there's like Dare and like it's like 60 something grams of sugar and stuff, right? So we wanted to make one with plant-based milk and make one that's just a iced coffee. Like a long black approach. But one is going to be slightly sweetened and one is not. But it's going to have all of the extra Savvy nootropics. So it'll have all of those brain benefits, which is cool. Then we're doing food. We're currently R&Ding at the moment, which is researching and developing with food. So we're going to be doing bars, balls, and bites, which is all pretty cool. So again, similar kind of concept. And we're starting to diversify. So some are very much based on food. So like good mood food. So all the stuff in here is aimed at just kind of pumping up particular neurotransmitters or brain chemicals responsible for making you feel away. And then we might also have some ones that are just aimed at reducing stress and helping you to be more calm. So we're trying to personalize approaches with really cool nutrition and allow it to be in forms that everyone can have throughout their days and times. We're also starting to do a kiddie range. So this is now in like years 2 to 5. Like this is a goal. We haven't started the work process for this yet, but the goal is to then go ahead and prepare it for children, because I know as a father yourself, and I'm sure any parent would advocate for the idea that they want to make sure that when they're sending their kids off to school, they're sending them off with stuff that is healthy. But how good would it be if it's not just healthy, but it's good for their brain and their mental development? Because they're in school, right, where they should be learning and growing. How good would it be if the little muesli bar you're giving them, instead of it being Uncle Toby's, and nothing against Uncle Toby's, but instead of being like a sugary based one, it's one that still tastes nice, but it's natural, it's organic, and there's like almost no sugar, and it's filled with amazing ingredients. And it's got a few herbs and vitamins, which are great for children's development of their brain or their body or both. That's what we want to do, because we think that's an area that would just be brilliant. Those are our big kind of targets for the next, I don't think I even covered the 10-year thing. That's us for the next like 3 to 5. All the way up to 10, you know. Probably just, to be honest, the same thing, but just expansion into more and more countries. We're already currently in the works with New Zealand being next door to us, and there's some stuff that's happening in Asia, which is great. But so we want to do more of that. But yeah, to be honest, it's just being able to provide this idea of nutrition can be good for your brain with the right ingredients, and just put it into every single type of food, drinks and coffees and food and bars and snacks, just so people are like, oh, wow, there's healthy stuff that I can have, which has benefits, which is available in all of my favorite foods, or food groups or drink groups. So that's our goal, is just be everywhere so everyone can benefit.
Dude, that is an awesome vision, and I'm excited to follow the journey and, you know, support you where I can. And fuck, especially like when my kid grows up and starts eating food and you bring out your little muesli bars and stuff like that, like definitely I'll be giving that to her.
Well, it's just cool, right? Or even like little drinks.
Yeah.
Like why not go ahead and have a healthy little apple juice popper or something, except the popper is in like a little like boxy style thing that's actually made of recycled materials, which is great for the environment and also healthier than the current one, which has plastic, which sometimes is BPA, which is not great. And also, instead of it just being a regular fruit juice, which has been pasteurized, which means it's been heated up, which means that there's almost no nutrients left.
It's all sugar.
Exactly. But instead of that, it still tastes good, so they love it, but you know, it's healthy for their development, which is the whole idea, right? So that's our goal, is be able to have a range of stuff for everyone, so we could actually push that. And because by doing that and using that quote from before, as we shine, others will shine as well. As we do more and more in this space, it's going to create competition, which is a brilliant thing. So the world is moving better and better and better. So that's a huge thing for Savvy. And for me personally, I started writing a book 3 years ago. I want to finish it. It's all about it's actually, ironically enough, a lot of it's just about brain fitness and just the stuff that you can do. And it's talking about how I went from nothing to something, just with different mental activities and what I like and what I didn't like about them and how to do them. Just because I think a lot of people didn't know. And I had to look under these rocks to find all these, oh, you can do this. I don't know you can do that. So I just wanted to create a bloody guide and just be like, hey, if you want to go ahead and make yourself a bit more mentally fit, this is what you can do. Imagine like the world's first like fitness book, like where you go ahead and like read about 100 exercises you can do to get big and strong or fit or fast or flexible, whatever you want. Same thing, but for this is, I started it, I want to finish it. I also want to do a bit more speaking and a little bit more helping people from a stage-based thing. So I don't think I'll be as grand as you are in this space, but if I have my little part to play, perhaps I'm a co-speaker to a small event thing or whatever. That to me would be a glorious thing for the future as well. Just being able to to share a bit more with people.
That's awesome, bro. It's great to have those visions and those goals, because yeah, that's what you're working towards every single day, and it's fucking exciting, eh?
It is. It's really, really cool for the both of us, and for anyone else in this space, for anyone else who is listened to this entire thing. Like, I feel by now you probably have so many more tools in your chest, and hopefully you're brimming with inspiration from hearing some of these stories and knowing that this is an option. So it's exciting, because yes, you can do this, and we can keep going again further and further and further. And it's so awesome to even have goals. Like 6 years ago, I didn't have goals. You'd ask me as a lawyer, what do you want to be in 5 years? I'm like, I don't know, promoted. And now it's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, oh gosh, well, hang on, let me just get my documents. I want to do this and this. And the coolest thing is, you can.
Anyone can.
Exactly. But back then, I didn't know. I was just like, oh, I guess I'd like to be promoted. That'd be cool. And probably alive. That'd be nice. Well, now it's like, I got a laundry list of stuff I want to achieve, which is epic. If anything now, my biggest lament is not being able to do as much as I want to do. And biggest challenge is on the weekend, cutting out time that's non-work related, just to do something that's just chill. Like, once we finish this, I have a few things I want to do work-wise, but my partner and I have scheduled in time this afternoon to do something for us. So we're just going to go on a little surf and then have a picnic, which is what you need to do to, otherwise, so she's a general practitioner. So she has studying to do to stay obviously best in her craft. And for me, I want to always do more stuff, whatever it might be, work-wise. So yeah, it's quite funny. Our biggest issue at the moment is trying to schedule time to not do work and study stuff, but instead like go for a bike ride or a surf or whatever the hell it might be. Just a thing to enjoy.
Yeah, to disconnect and then like connect with your partner and connect with yourself as well. Like, after this, I'll be shutting off myself, and for the rest of the weekend, it's just family time, really. So it makes me fresh going into next week, because I'm relaxed. I'm like, yeah, sweet, let's go again.
Yeah, like it's a beautiful thing that now it's totally reversed what it used to be. My weekends when I was working as a lawyer, I did not want to work. I didn't want to do anything that wasn't going out and partying, because it was literally escape to forget how crap my life was for the last 70 hours between Monday and Friday. So now I'm trying to go ahead and go crazy. But now I probably worked the same amount this week, but I want to do more because I'm loving what I'm doing. And this is the really cool thing. And like, obviously we now get the ability to have that option to prioritize. Do you want to spend time with family and connect? Or do you want to do work and get more advanced? What's great is we have these options because we started to go on this avenue, and this avenue is available for anyone, which is the main message of what we've been constantly pulling back to, which is epic. So if anyone who is listening, thank you for listening, and I hope this has been helpful.
Yeah, it's been an awesome chat. We've been going for nearly 2 hours now. Fuck, another awesome chat that's just flowed, eh?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, we covered so many things, which is epic. But I guess if someone goes out for a big walk and listens to it at 1.25, 1.5 speed, they'll probably smash through it by the time they're back home, and hopefully they'll have a killer rest of the day.
Exactly. And I guess we'll finish up on this last question that I asked everyone. Mark, when your time's all up and done in this surf, like, what are 2 words you would love people to use to describe the person that you were and the life that you lived?
Oh God. Wait, could you hit me with that question one more time?
Put you on the spot, eh?
You just kind of caught me off guard.
So just imagine you're at the end of your life, your time's up and done on this earth. What would you love people to use? So 2 words you'd love people to use to describe the person that you were and the life that you lived.
Wow. supportive, loving.
Yes, I love that. That's definitely what you're doing, man. You're a loving person and you're fucking supporting people into growing and becoming the best versions of themselves. So, man, keep the work that you're doing. I've loved this chat, bro. And for the listeners, where can they find you on social media, all that stuff? I know we mentioned where they can find Savvy, but where can they find you?
So I should change my Instagram handle. So my last name is Curry. So my Instagram handle is an Indian takeaway shop near where I grew up, near Botany in Sydney, called Curry in a Hurry. So that's my Instagram handle at the moment. So there's Curry in a Hurry. There's otherwise obviously Facebook and LinkedIn, the rest of it. But yeah, if you went to the Savvy page, I'm pretty sure I'm listed around there, or I'll be on the About section of the Savvy website. And I've just been lucky enough to start a second company called Calm Water with a guy called Mitch Wallace, who is an expert in mental health. So we have access to both myself and him through the Calm Water page as well. So there's myriad ways to find us, and anyone who would like to reach out to me, please do. Please don't think that I'm too busy. I'm definitely not too busy to have a conversation about something that I'm passionate about, which is helping people to explore better options for their life. So if you do wish to reach out to me, always an open door.
That's what I love about you, brother. You always got time for people, and it shows the kind of person that you are. So much love, and thank you once again for taking time out of your day to chat with me. As I said, it's been an awesome chat, and I'm super grateful. And that's one thing we didn't start the podcast with. I usually ask, what are 3 things you're grateful for today, Mark?
Oh, good one. Probably, I had a good sleep last night, which I love. I often get my ass out of bed early, and I gave myself a sleep in, and that was lovely. So just waking up with that an alarm and just kind of getting up and like, ooh, and just having a bit of a smile on my dial. Probably my wonderful partner who came downstairs too, and just the first thing, she heard me walking down the stairs and she chucks her arms up. So I go over to give her a hug, which is a lovely thing. So just being lucky enough to be in such a cool relationship. And then the last thing I'd say I'm probably grateful for is the fact that we could do this, which I know seemed like a cliche one, but again, I actually have been looking forward to this. Like when I went to the gym before, I made sure that I had enough time to go ahead and do the gym and leave early so I can do this, to make sure that like I can quickly set up my table in the spare room, so like it's not too distracting, so we can be here and do all this. So those are the 3 things I'm grateful for. But what about throwing it back at you, man? What about yourself, Nick?
Ooh, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for going for my walk with my daughter this morning. So we slept in the 6. She's usually up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. She slept in this morning, but we got up, I fed her, we went for a nice walk. The sun was out. It was raining yesterday, so it was good to have some sunlight today. Grateful for that. I said grateful for this conversation because, yeah, as you said, like I was excited for this the whole week too. Super pumped. And today's just flowed. It's been an epic chat, and there's so many gems, so much value within it. So grateful for that. And the third thing I think is after this, being able to take that time to just disconnect and spend family time. I'm super grateful that I'm able to do that. So they're my 3 things.
That's epic. And the question before, because I feel you're asking people when it's the end of the time, people are gathered around the bed, what do you want as the 2 words that discuss Nick? Like what's going to go ahead and be like, this is what we think of Nick.
Ooh.
Because I had no idea. I just was like, oh gosh, like there's like a slew of words you'd like. But who knows?
It's funny because I've never been asked this. I asked the questions, and then when it gets asked, now I know how you felt, bro. I'm like, fuck.
Oh, dude, sorry, yeah, because you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like, and you mean like your thought process just goes to, oh my god, is that a good word though? Like, there's so many good words out there, so many adjectives I'd like to be. But
I think
there's no wrong answer, obviously.
Yeah, I know. A word that comes to me, or 2 words, is impact, and I think gratitude. Like I was grateful for life and grateful for everyone in my life, and I had a big impact within this world.
impactful and like a really cool, grateful and kind person. Love that.
Awesome, bro. Fuck, this has
And
been
you're doing it.
this has been an epic chat, man. I hope the listeners, I know you would have got some value out of this. Please remember, like, press the subscribe button, give us a rating. Even if you're listening on Spotify, you can just click the share button, share it straight to your Instagram, tag myself and Mark. We'll reshare it. We'll connect. If you ever need a message us, send us a message, all that good stuff. Just helps me to continue growing, reaching more people, and yeah, having that impact. So thank you so much for listening. If you want to join the Grateful Club, send me a message. I'll add you into that as well. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next episode. And Mark, thank you once again, brother.
Awesome. I'd also love to join the club too.
Yeah, for sure. I'll add you in straight away after this. Thank you, guys. See you guys in the next episode. Cheers. Hey, before you go, if you got value out of today's episode and you're interested in trying Savvy Beverages, whether that be their Brain Boost drinks or their coffee, head over to www.savvybeverage.com.au and use the discount code BETTER25. That is BETAR25 to get 25% off your order.